Hello and welcome to the International News Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Dunicic. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join our growing international community. Now, our report today takes us back to the Russo-Ukrainian war because there has been a major development. Today, Ukraine has carried out its first incursion into Russian territory. Now, this incursion has not been long-term. Ukraine did not capture any territory, and it doesn't control any part of the Russian Federation. Simply what happened is 2 Ukrainian helicopters entered Russian airspace and attacked a Rosneft state-owned oil depot. Now, during the entirety of this war, which has lasted about 5 to 6 weeks now, more so towards the 5-week mark, it has been experienced where Ukrainian soldiers from the borders inside Ukraine have attacked the Russian Federation with shelling. But this is the first instance of the war where Ukrainian soldiers or any form of Ukrainian military vehicles have actually entered the Federation, let alone carried out a major military operation and attack. Now, the Rosneft state-owned oil depot that was attacked is roughly 35 kilometers or 21 miles past the Ukrainian border. And as we've mentioned before, in a report that we did on a completely unrelated conflict between Saudi Arabia and the Houthi rebels in Yemen, where the Houthi rebels attacked a Saudi state-owned Aramco oil depot in the city of Jeddah, we covered how oil depots are in fact non-legitimate military targets. Oil depots are in war considered to be civilian targets, simply because not only do they provide fuel, yes, for military vehicles and logistical military operations, which many would assume make them a legitimate military target. However, oil depots are also used primarily to provide fuel for civilians. Attacks on oil depots majorly negatively affect the quality of life of civilians that are dependent upon the fuel coming from that depot. Now, Ukraine probably will not get slapped or charged with any kind of war crime or violation of military law simply because its incredible diplomacy has gained it massive international support. And as we all know, if the international community, especially the West, supports you, you can get away with anything. Now, that isn't to attack Ukraine. What needs to be understood is this is the first an individual time, the only one, where Ukrainian forces have moved into Russian territory. Since the beginning of this war, 150,000 Russian soldiers have moved into Ukraine. So a very good argument can be made that this is justified. If anything, it's too little. But while that would be true to say maybe a month or a couple weeks ago, this is very bad timing, and such an attack can be very counterproductive towards the goals of Ukraine, simply because peace talks between Ukraine and Russia are developing at a very fast pace, and it seems that some kind of agreement can be made, though there has been negative responses from Russian leadership, particularly Vladimir Putin. Nonetheless, the talks are continuing and some progress is appearing, particularly Ukraine formally recognizing and stating that it is willing to completely drop its bid to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was the initial reason that Russia invaded the country. In addition to abandoning its NATO ambitions, Ukraine has agreed to declare itself as a neutral country, which, in principle, would completely guarantee that Russia's security concerns in the region are absolutely met and take away any legitimacy or justification for attacking Ukraine in the future. In return, to make sure that Ukraine is not invaded, Ukraine will receive international security guarantees from a number of countries, both on the West and those affiliated or allied with Russia, particularly those in the CSTO. Now, Russia does still have some major demands that have yet to be met, and it does seem that until these demands are met, that these peace talks are not going to be fully resolved. In particular, what Russia is still demanding is to consolidate and legitimize on the Ukrainian side its control of the Crimean Peninsula, which it annexed and has controlled since 2014 away from Ukraine. Not only does Russia want to consolidate the territory that it controls in Crimea, it wants to increase the territorial recognition, so gain recognition in the first place, but also increase the territory controlled by Russian separatists in the Donbass region, who have been fighting a war against Ukraine's government since 2014, with two separate independent republics that they have claimed. Russia wants independence for the Donbass region, and it wants to increase the territory that is controlled in there, which would also include and encompass Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, and Mariupol, a strategically important city that is located on the Azov Sea. Now, Mariupol has been completely destroyed and is going to be the most crucial city for the rest of this war, but that's another topic. The main focus of this report today is to state that Ukrainian forces have attacked Russia. Now, this also comes at a time where Ukrainian defense forces have taken back a lot of the territory that was gained by Russia during its initial invasion, primarily because Russia is pulling back, ostensibly, to gain trust and support during these peace talks. Now, many have argued, and it's probably true, that Russia is not actually pulling back. It's simply just resupplying, regrouping, and reinforcing its soldiers to attack the Donbass region, which Russia probably intends to gain more military control over to increase its standing in the negotiating table. Nonetheless, attacking the inside of the Russian Federation territory, inside its borders, is something that is not productive right now for Ukraine to do, and two, completely unnecessary. Ukraine has gained a massive amount of diplomatic support, and understand that in war, military gains are not the only thing that's important. Political and diplomatic ones are equally, if not more so important, to their military counterparts. These kind of actions make Ukraine seem like an equal aggressor. Even though we all know that it's Russia that invaded Ukraine, that memory can tend to fade. Ukraine needs to focus on its eastern territories and defending the territory that it already controls in the west, instead of carrying out attacks on Russian targets inside the Federation's borders. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a nice open discussion and debate about what's going on in the Russo-Ukrainian crisis and Ukraine's attacks on Russia, and also Russia's attacks on Ukraine. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.